Welcome to The Liberated Life. Get ready to free your mind, body, and spirit in business and pleasure. Now here's your host, Quinn Keehn.
Welcome everyone to today's micro episode of The Liberated Life. This is Quinn Keehn. I want to talk to you today about the concept of letdown. Some of you have participated recently with me in the Purge for Peace, and the goal of the Purge for Peace is to really remove anything from your life that is expired, unnecessary, outdated, anything that no longer serves you or brings you a sense of well-being, contributes to your peace and joy. In the Purge for Peace, we covered a lot of things. We started with just noticing what was bugging us, and then we went on and talked about our mindset and tapping in, feeling the emotions, noticing the triggers, and then we got down to it and started releasing things and removing things like unnecessary emails that we've subscribed to and unnecessary notifications from our phones and our apps. And then we even got rid of some apps. Maybe you did, maybe you didn't, but some people did. And then we looked at our physical environment and what was causing us a sense of overwhelm, anxiety, pressure in our physical environment. Finally, we went on and talked about people in our lives that provide a level of support and people who provide a level of stress or induce a level of stress and anxiety in us for whatever reason at all. Reason doesn't matter, just noticing and then making some decisions about the proximity people have in our lives to our most intimate spaces or not, and how that affects us and impacts us as well. So that's all great, and that is a super wonderful thing to do, and the people who did it had some big aha moments, also got a sense of real relief. What I want to talk about right now is the impact of letdown. Let me explain. So I have spent the last almost 14 months now purging for peace, and it's been really remarkable. And I've not been super busy in my life. I haven't created a sense of busyness or constant doing. And if you know me, you know I'm a doer. And so I've really shifted that into doing more of what I love and less of the things I don't love. And interestingly enough, I set myself up for a crazy July because everything converged at once. So I knew that the annual retreat for Simply Music teachers that I do with my friend Lori Richards and my dear friend and colleague Neil Moore was going to happen in July. We set that up back in, I think we decided in January, and that was this week. And we had 50 teachers, and it's always a big job. It's full and very fun, but it's a lot of work. That was this week. And then my former client and my friend and colleague Jason McGarva talked to me about co-hosting a summit, a one-day online free summit called the Higher Quality Client Attraction Summit. And wouldn't you know it, the date we picked was the 19th of July, also this week. And a few months ago, my friends Suzette Farah and Jen Snoxel and I began talking about doing the Purge for Peace, and the dates we set were July 11th through the 17th. So if you look at those dates, you realize they all converge. They're all within 10 days of each other. And not only that, but I have two daughters that share the same birthday, July 20th. So it's been a wild month. Then yesterday, it was over. The Purge for Peace was complete. The launch of our Table of Joy was complete. Starting, but still, the launch, that was complete. My daughter's birthdays were complete. The summit was complete. And then the 2-day retreat was complete. And you can imagine, I've just had people. Sure, they're on my Zoom room for the most part, or in my Zoom room, and a lot of activity. And then suddenly nothing yesterday. And certainly I woke up feeling grateful and relieved and like, whew. And then I experienced the letdown. And the letdown feels like, oh, I have nothing. I have nothing to do. I have no one that I necessarily need to talk to. I have no tasks to complete, and this feeling of relief, but also mixed with real emptiness in some ways. And I found I became nostalgic. I reached out to some friends I haven't talked to in a few months or several months with one of them. I was reminiscing about things. I was reminiscing about the live events I used to have and how different they were from the online events. As wonderful as online events are, they're not the same. We all know that. I felt myself feeling kind of sad yesterday. And so I just wanted to mention that or bring that up, because as we purge for peace, as we free ourselves up, there's also a possibility that we might feel like we don't know what to do with ourselves, and that suddenly we have this spaciousness that is foreign, and finding ways of acknowledging that and not doing a bypass and acting like it's not happening, but actually noticing the space of having space and having nothing in that space, only yourself. So I did allow myself to feel that yesterday, and I felt it pretty acutely at different times. I found myself having a few tears, a few good laughs at myself and with myself, and just at the funny things that had happened this week. There were some things that really made me laugh, and I thought about those. I finally turned on kind of a sappy show that just released a new season. I mean, it's a good show, but that was kind of soothing. And this morning I'm heading out. I'm sitting outside right now. You might hear a lawnmower. You might hear some birds, because I'm sitting outside where it's just beautiful. And I've decided I'm taking myself down to the Dungeness Spit, which is 10 minutes from my house, and having a good long walk down to the beach and on the beach, because that sounds like a nice way to spend my day. So I just want to acknowledge that letdown is real. It's something that can happen when we create more space around us, when we start getting rid of those things that were piling on that kept us so busy and preoccupied and in motion. It's normal, and it's real, and it can feel very mixed. It can have all kinds of emotions attached. And so I was thinking about the different emotions that I mentioned in the last podcast I did on 40 emotions and what might be triggering you. And I think I'm going to be touching upon each of those in upcoming micro podcast episodes. All right. Well, if you're feeling let down, it's normal. It's okay. It's great. And equilibrium does come. I already know that it comes because I've had this experience many, many times in my life. After completing something really huge, sometimes letdown even ends up having us be sick. That happened to me in college. After just about every semester, I would come home from college and I would get sick and I would have to sleep for days until I felt better. So fortunately, that doesn't seem to be the way I need to handle letdown anymore. It's just more of a feeling and not necessarily physical illness. But if it's physical illness, again, it is your body finding its way back to some stability and equilibrium. All right, if you'd like to connect with me, reach out to me anytime, robin@quittingculture.com. Come on over and come into our Table of Joy. You get 2 weeks for free in there. Check out the Trajectory Tuesday, Wisdom Wednesday, Freedom Friday that we have each week, where we meet with you and talk about these kinds of things, finding out what the energy is in Trajectory Tuesday, getting some wisdom on our subject of the month on Wednesdays, and Freedom Friday with me. This week we talked about pruning. We talked about noticing what is dead or dying or expiring. I was looking at my tomato plants and just noticing that if I leave those yellow leaves on there, the plant's still sending energy there to something that's no longer fruitful, and being willing to prune something and how that applies in my life and maybe your life as well. All right, everybody, thank you so much for listening to this micro episode of The Liberated Life on experiencing the real feelings and emotions and body sensations of letdown after busy weeks and after letting things go. Have a great week. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed the show, please rate and recommend on Apple Podcasts, Overcast, or wherever you get your podcast. You can also get more great information at quittingculture.com.